Optimal man. What's up, dude? What do you do for a career?
I got my own business. What about you?
Mm,
Play the harp?
Part of it. Music, I suppose, but oh, there it is. Finally. I do a lot of. I just think I have a lot of time, dude. I have a lot of free time. I don't have to work anymore, so
You're a
I
philosopher, huh?
I like to read.
What do you read?
Mm,
You want to see my
what am
favorite
I reading?
book?
What am I reading currently, or what do I read? Because so I have a question for you then, right? Because I retired when I was 22 years old.
When you were what?
When I was 22 years old, I retired,
And how
right?
old are you now?
I'm 26.
26? These are some of my favorite books.
So that second one, who is that by? Let
Dale
me ask.
Carnegie. I know you know this one. Hold on. Hold on. I'm actually about to do a live stream studying a book right now.
Robert Greene. He has a lot of books, but also, do you agree or what do you disagree with that book?
Disagree with what book?
The Robert Greene, the Mastery book. Are there any chapters that you disagree with? Things that you don't think he's correct in from basic like experiences that you've had that go against what he says in that book?
As far as mastery, I haven't read it all, but from what I've read so far, I do agree with everything I've seen. I can't say that I've disagreed with anything. You disagree with something?
I would ask, reading a book without reflection is kind of like eating without tasting your food, right?
Uh huh.
So, for example, one of my favorite books, right? Eckhart Tolle, a newer philosopher,
Eckhart
sociologist,
Tolle,
right?
I
Well,
have, I think, what book is it? The Power of Now?
probably have this one
He
by
wrote
him
The
as
Power
well.
of Now, yeah.
Power of Now. How often do you read all the books that an author wrote?
I'm going to be honest. I've been listening to audiobooks lately, and
Well, I mean, even if you listen to audiobooks, I mean, how often do you follow an author?
so on repeat, the one that I listen to every single day is Think and Grow Rich and You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. I like to study those books
No,
because,
no, 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 no. Sorry, I might have rephrased that wrong,
uh,
or phrased that. I mean, how many books does Robert Greene have?
well, I have 48 Laws of Power. I have, what else? Mastery. I have The Laws of Human Nature. I have The Art of Seduction. That's about it.
So, are you going through and look? I'll show you. Right
Uh-huh.
when you go through and read a book,
Highlighting?
right?
Yeah,
Are you doing that with books?
of course, yeah.
Just look. A lot of people read.
I'm gonna show
Not
you.
too many people
I'm gonna
actually
show you.
take.
Can you see?
Yeah, I can.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. I got right here. I got sticky notes. I got
So
highlights.
so I challenge people, not in a sense of like I think you're stupid. I don't find anybody stupid by any means.
Uh-huh.
What parts of that book, or wait, who is the author of that book
Of Think and Grow
again?
Rich,
Mhm.
Napoleon Hill.
All right. Where did he go to college and earn his degrees?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know because he's an old ass motherfucker. He's dead.
How much do you know of where his biases came from, where he learned like that? Who are some of that author's favorite authors?
That's a good question. I don't know. I know who Bob Proctor's favorite authors are. Bob Proctor
So
studied this book over 1,000 times, so I know about that. But as far as Napoleon Hill, I haven't really looked into it. But everything that I've read and applied into my life, I see the value in it.
so do you value time or money?
I value time. Something you can never get back. You can always get more money.
So how many hours of work of a week do you work?
About 60. The other day, I worked 7, 14, 8.
Wait, hold on. What? I'm sorry.
One day I worked 7. The other one I worked 14. The other one I worked 8. So usually that's like around roughly how many hours, and then I take Tuesday and
So,
Thursday off
so how many hours are in a week?
in a week. 24 times 7. That's a good question. I haven't calculated.
168. And you said that you work about 60.
Yeah,
Okay, so that leaves you with 108. How many hours a week do you sleep? Do you get a full 8 hours of sleep each night?
usually about 6.
6. Okay. 6 times 7, right? Minus 42. So 108 minus 42. Do you go to the gym?
I work out. Recently, I got some weights here, so that way I don't have to drive anywhere. I just get home from work, and then I do some pull-ups, do some push-ups, work out here in my. But I do have a gym membership. I have a gym in my community as well.
Okay. How many hours of free time do you have in a week?
Hours of free time. Let's see.
Yeah.
I work about 8 hours a day. Work out about 1. Sleep about 6. So what's that? 6.
66, 50, 58, 7.9783. 58. Okay. How many hours of free time do you have? What hobbies do you have that don't make you money?
So hobbies that I have that don't make me money.
Do you think that's important to have?
What do you mean?
Hobbies that are strictly hobbies. They're not making you any money, right?
I mean, studying. Other than that, I don't play video games. The only time I watch movies is when my girlfriend comes over. Because other than that, I believe that,
Okay.
like, uh huh.
How many hours a week do you spend with your girlfriend? Like quality time.
So Tuesdays and Thursdays, she usually comes over at, what time? I think it's 2 after college. 2 to 10:30.
2
2 days.
to 10:30. So
Yeah,
about 16 hours a week.
pretty much. Yeah.
So that's minus 16 as well. Was 58 minus 16 off the top of my head? I can't think right now. 42. Okay, so why do you value time over money? And why do you think you value time over money and not money over time?
I value time over money because we only have a limited amount of time, and every second that goes by, it's gone as soon as it's gone. And money, you can lose it all, but if you still have time, you can make it back.
How do you feel about the sentiment that actions speak louder than words?
Actions speak louder than words. I believe it.
Okay, if somebody's actions are primarily spending 60 plus hours of work at work where it's money focused, would you say that that person cares more about their time or money?
I'm building a business though. I'm not working a 9 to 5. I'm building a business.
Oh no, no, I'm not. I'm just a question, right?
Hmm.
I understand you're building a business.
Hmm.
If I were to say that I value time over money, however, more than 75% of my time was focused on money,
Yeah.
would you believe me that I actually value time over money? Because I believe that people who value time over money would have more time,
Mm.
right? Does
Hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, look, I'm in the top 1%.
Hmm.
Not for money. I'm retired, right? There's tons of people with more money than me.
Yeah.
There's tons of people with like millions of dollars more than me, billions of dollars more than me, right? Money, and you are correct. I value money, time, because it's finite. Money is, there's no limit. There's no cap to like how much money you can make, right?
Hmm.
I'm in the top 1% of time. Like I don't have to have, and like I retired out the military with 100% disability. So the military, and I don't say that of like, right? But I am in the top 1% of people with time. I don't have to have an 8-hour job. The only responsibility I genuinely have is to take care of my dogs.
Your dogs?
So yeah, my dogs. I love my dogs.
Hmm.
But do you think that there's time periods in your life where you need to value money over time?
That I need to value money over time. I believe that, I have responsibilities, and I believe that the society that we live in, money is required to do everything, to take care of your family, take care of yourself, to buy your time back.
What if something free that doesn't require money that is probably good for you?
Something free? What do you mean, time?
Yeah, like what is something that you can do that doesn't cost money that is good for you?
Something that doesn't cost money that is good for me.
Spending time with your girlfriend. That doesn't cost money. Spending quality time, a good conversation. I don't think those things,
I agree, but
right?
let me
Is
say
this
this.
any money
Let me
right
say
now?
this. If I don't have any money, can I spend quality time with my girlfriend if I can't have any experiences with her other than cuz yeah, I can spend time with her at home all day every day, but eventually a woman's going to get bored of that.
Have you ever lived in another country?
I've lived in Puerto Rico. That's about it. Florida and Puerto Rico.
I don't know where Winter Garden is. Forgive me.
It says Winter Garden, but I'm in Orlando, Florida.
Okay, so you've lived in Florida and Puerto Rico. Do you think that in impoverished countries where there's not a lot of money, that they don't have the ability for happiness?
No, I believe they can definitely be happy. I don't think you need to have money to be happy. Personally, I just I just don't want to be stressed out if I can't pay the bills, if I can't go. I believe that the things that I genuinely want to do with my life, they require money. I know that I can
Such as,
just what was that?
such as.
I want to travel, I want to explore the world. I want to buy material things. I know people say that material things are bad. I don't think so. There's a
I don't
lot
think
of
so. My
material
harp is a
possessions.
material thing, right?
What was that?
My harp is a material thing.
Yeah, that thing looks like it costs 800,000.
22,000.
Yeah.
But what are things that take time that increase your worth as a person?
Things that take time that increase my worth. Reading
How
takes
many
time.
languages? ¿Hablas español? ¿Tienes
Sí.
su fluidez en español también?
Sí.
¿Tú necesitas tiempo o necesitas dinero si quisieras aprender un otro idioma?
You need time.
You need more time.
Hmm.
If I speak two languages, does that increase my worth as a candidate in a company?
I believe so.
Oftentimes, what if I told you I speak five languages? Now, am I going to be getting paid quite a bit more?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Being not even just being a translator, right? You can get paid so much more. The more languages you speak, the more, right? What else are things that take time that will increase your value and worth without because my problem with money, right? What can you buy that's going to make you more money?
What can you buy that's going to make you more money?
Not what you can sell, right? Because selling obviously makes you money. But what can you buy that's going to make you more money?
You can invest in a business and then eventually have workers.
But what does investing take?
It takes money.
And
So you say, what can I buy? How am I going to buy something without money?
what does investing actually take?
Time.
It takes more time. If I put $1 into a savings account, well, if I put $1 into whatever I'm investing in, right, and I give it 20 years, that, right, the longer you keep your money still, and time is the best friend of money, I think, right?
Yeah.
So that, I don't think you can buy investments because you need more time. What can you buy right now that is going to make you more money?
Buy more time.
Can you buy time?
I mean, you can basically instead of working a 9 to 5, you can put money into things so that you get your time back. Like you seem like you have enough money to have all your time back.
I live modestly.
Hmm.
I do. What can you quantify how much money you think that you would need in a month um, to live modestly?
I mean, you don't need a lot, really. If you really just want to live minimalistic,
I'm not quantified, like a number specifically.
quantify. Let's see. I'd say
$300.
$300 what a month?
Yeah,
You can. I'm not saying you can't, but I don't want to live that life.
it's going to be a pretty shit life, right? But what
Yeah.
is an amount of money that is going to be a decent life, a pretty modest lifestyle, would you say, per month?
What do you mean
Obviously, it depends on where you are,
Uh-huh.
and you're in Orlando. But how much money could you make per month, where your rent, your food, because the bottom of I don't know if you've ever heard of Maslow.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I looked him up today, and I haven't studied him, but I heard Wes Watson talking about him, and I want to look into him.
you heard who?
Maslov. Wes Watson.
Is that a philosopher?
No, no, he's a fucking ex-convict that got out 7 years ago, and now he drives a Bugatti and everything. He talks some deep shit.
So
He was
Oh,
talking
okay,
about
okay.
Maslow today in a podcast.
So my other question to you would be, what about virtues?
What does virtues mean? I've heard it, but honestly, I don't really know too much about what virtues is. If you explain it, maybe I'll say yeah.
So this is the field of ethical philosophy that I study,
Hmm.
because the people who are genuinely making the most money also tend to display some of the best virtues. A virtue is a good human characteristic that universally everybody can agree is good. Honesty is a virtue. Patience is a virtue. Kindness is a virtue. Righteous indignation and your right to anger in the right space is a virtue. Um, what are other, like, what virtues, what good human characteristics would you say you have as a person?
Being an honest person, caring about others. Is discipline a virtue to you?
Discipline is very much a virtue. Is it
Discipline.
hard to be disciplined? What does discipline take?
Discipline takes you getting out of your own way. Because at the end of the day,
Mm,
I believe that your mind, your conscience is telling you everything that you need to do. The reason why people say, oh, it's hard to lose weight is simply just because they're in their own way. Because I don't think discipline is hard if you simply just listen to your mind. Your mind is always telling you what you need to do
I think I don't trust myself. You know why?
because you haven't showed yourself.
What do you mean?
Like you haven't showed yourself through actions. Is that why?
No, I don't trust myself. And people hear that and they're like, no, you should trust yourself. Why would I trust myself? I have gone through life with experiences that have created biases that I have when I look out at the world. I meet people, I have biases already. Same with you. They conscious or unconscious, right?
Hmm.
A lot of people have unconscious biases. A lot of people will talk to Latinos and talk to them as if they're stupid and not able to, right? Like that's a big problem, I think, with white versus Latino. I've seen a lot of white people talk to Latinos that they're stupid and can't comprehend. Specifically, black females tend to get treated right. So I think discipline. Why would I trust myself? My mind is always telling me things, and am I always correct?
But I
No.
think,
So I challenge myself consistently. Discipline is hard. If somebody is telling you that discipline is easy, discipline takes two things, I think. And I was in the Marine Corps for 5.5 years, and that's what got me retired.
mhm.
Right? Went through cancer, got a whole stem cell transplant, whole chemotherapy, yada 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 yada. And like, nevertheless, I think discipline is hard. You know what it takes? Time, and it takes consistency. Do you think a 10-year-old is disciplined, or who's more likely to be disciplined, a 15-year-old or somebody who is 55 years old?
An adult, they have responsibilities.
And not even just with responsibilities. Like, I think wisdom comes with age. I think virtues come with age. I think, what about humility? Is humility a virtue?
Of course.
So, what makes a virtue, and this goes under Aristotelian ethics, right? Virtues. The reason it makes it a virtue, you can have a lack of that virtue or an excess of that virtue, and that is called a vice. So, if you say you value honesty, right? What is a lack of honesty called?
A lie, deception,
What is too much honesty called?
too much honesty is called being naive.
I wouldn't say that's being naive. I would disagree with that. Like, if you're too honest with somebody, I would call that's brutality.
Yeah, I guess that's something that I have a problem with. People say I'm a little too honest sometimes, and it can come off as rude.
Right. And the point of talking with other humans, right, is never to hurt humans, right?
Hmm.
Like, if the point is to hurt humans, I think there's deeper work that needs to be done with the person. But as you can see, honesty sits between dishonesty and brutality, right? If a fat girl walks in the room, do I need to say, wow, am I lying to her if I say, if you lose weight and you start going to the gym, it will help you mentally, physically, and emotionally? Do I have to say it in that way?
No, but I believe that your intention is important. Obviously, I'm not going in a room and calling out fat bitches. I have a YouTube
No,
channel,
no,
and I
no.
call shit out like that too because I believe that people, like in a YouTube video, it's better because I can say the truth, and someone, if they don't like it, they can click off. But in
What
real
is
life,
what is
what happened?
what is truth?
Truth? What do you mean? Honesty?
No. I don't think truth and honesty are necessarily synonymous. What is truth? Can truth look different to you than it does to me?
Oh yeah, truth is different to each person, but I believe that like
So you're speaking your truth.
but let's say this. If the truth of like you said, a fat person telling them that'll help you, that'll help your mindset, that'll help your self-image, your confidence, all that, is that my truth? That's I believe that's reality.
Am I being honest? Am I being honest? Yeah, I would say I'm being honest, but
hmm
am I more likely to motivate that person that way? Or are there other ways that I can maybe say the exact same thing
I
without the
think
brutality?
I think for men, it's important that they hear the truth. I think for women, it's different. Women, I don't think that, telling them the truth is going to go off the same way because they're a lot more emotional. But I believe as a man, you can't
Are women more emotional than men? What does emotional mean to you then? Can you define that?
emotional is they value feelings more than logic. I believe as a man, that's the reason why I don't know how many
You've
relationships you've
never met
had.
emotional men?
What happened?
You've never met emotional men or logical women?
I've definitely met emotional men, but you got to tell them the truth
Have you
to
met
get them
logical
to get
women?
them out of that, to snap them out.
So, have you ever heard of the Myers-Briggs?
Myers what?
Myers-Briggs.
No.
I can guarantee you're some type of. Here, I have to type this in because you're some type of NT, whether the outside is an I or an E or the inside. The Myers-Briggs, look, psychology is as much of a field, right? Clinical psychology, diagnosis, things along those lines, personality. How do you describe personality? Is every person different?
Of course.
Is every human different?
Yes.
Do some people value logic over feelings?
Do some people value logic over feelings? Yeah.
Right? People who are mathematicians, are they more likely to value feelings or are they more likely to value logic?
Logic.
Okay. Is mathematician only open to one gender?
No.
Okay. What about business owners? Do you think they value logic or feelings more?
I believe they need to have both.
Which one do you think they value more? I think they need to have both too. I think, but don't get me wrong, but which one do you think makes
I
a
mean, when
better?
we're talking, because business has two sides. When we're talking about business specifically, it has to be logic. Like if you put your emotions, what was that?
The is the point of numbers. The point of business. If I have a business and I'm not making more than I'm putting out, and ever like that's illogical. Like then why would I have a business? Then I'm losing
But
money.
here's
That
why here's why I say it's both. Is because business itself requires logic, but in order to start a business, in order to keep going, you have to have the emotional side to where you have the motivation, like something inside of you emotionally touches you on a level to where you're like, I want to go after that.
you're talking about a theory called grit in
Yeah.
psychology. So is grit feelings? You would say.
Yeah.
So would you say that leadership skills value logic or feelings more?
Leadership skills,
Can you name 3 leadership skills that you feel like you display on why you should be a business owner?
leadership skills, discipline.
Justice, judgment, dependability, integrity, decisiveness, tact, knowledge, daring, unselfish, courage, knowledge, loyal, independency, enthusiasm, and endurance, right? Like, can you name, like, what are your top 3, you would say, that make you a good leader in comparison to somebody else? Composure.
Discipline, never quitting, and staying
I think this,
logical instead of getting into your feelings.
okay, let's talk about never quitting and logicism, right? Never quitting. Is there a time to quit?
What do you mean?
Is there a time when you have failed and it is time to lose the business because it will not go further? Is there a time? That comes with humility, I think.
Of course.
So if humility is a virtue, what is a lack of humility called?
Arrogance,
What is too much humility?
too much humility, arrogance. That's what I would call it.
They can't be the same thing. A lack of humility, somebody who lacks humility is arrogant.
hmm
Somebody who has too much humility is shy. They're meek. They're scared of their opinions being shared with the world, right? What is humility? Can you give me a definition of what you feel like it means to be humble?
Humble. What is it to be humble? Someone who doesn't let their ego get in their way. Like they get a lot of money all of a sudden. Now they're a different person as opposed to just staying the same and being grounded.
Um, yeah, no, I mean, I would definitely agree with you. I'm not one to disagree with people if they're actually putting up a good argument, but I think humility is the ability to recognize your own skills or lack thereof. So my question to you is, do you feel like you're humble?
Of course.
Where are you lacking?
Where am I lacking?
If you're humble and you've self-reflected and you understand yourself, you will also understand where your vices lie and where you need to work on the most in your life. Because everybody has virtues, right? You see this in kids.
Hmm.
Are there little kindergartners who will stand up for other kindergartners who are getting bullied? Are there kindergartners who are more patient than other kindergartners? Just like virtues are like a luck of the draw. It's literally a lottery. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like, but virtues are great. Like, and here's the thing: you don't determine your virtues. You know that.
Hmm.
You know who does? Everybody else. Because can everybody in a bar tell when somebody's a genuinely kind person? I can tell my aunt is kind, like actually kind. Like you don't have to question it. You don't have to think she has ulterior motives. You ever been around somebody who is kind and you're
Yes.
like, wow, the person doesn't want to fuck anybody over. They're just genuinely a kind person.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing with virtues is because we don't determine them, but we can see more clearly than anything else, our vices. So my question to you would be, what are your vices?
Vices. I mean, I was once really addicted to Percocets, and I learned how to quit that. Now, I mean, I do this.
I mean, vices and is that weed?
Oh, this is nicotine.
Oh,
But I don't feel like I have any attachment to it. Like I think I can quit at any time because I've quit Percocets, which is an opioid. It's way harder to quit. So now I've understood my mind and how it works and how I can quit something.
how well do you understand the psychology of addiction?
Psychology of what?
Addiction.
I mean, I've experienced it myself. Just self-experience. I've been addicted to many substances. I've tried like almost every drug in the book other than like heroin and meth. But I've done coke, I've done acid, I've done fucking perks, Xanax, everything you can think of, and I quit everything. I just learned how my mind works, really.
You learned how your mind works. How does your mind work?
Well, at the time when I was addicted, I wasn't realizing the power that I have, and most people don't realize this, and that's why they're addicted.
What power do you have?
I've quit porn and everything, right? Because people think that like
What power do you have? I want to talk about that. What power do you have that other people don't?
I'm not saying
That
they don't. I'm saying they don't realize it. Like I didn't realize it at one point. That's why I was addicted to fucking porn, pills, all that shit. Is because people don't realize, like you were saying earlier, it's hard. And I believe that that's your self-talk and telling yourself that it's hard because at one
do you
point,
think you have a different brain from other people?
what was that?
Do you think that you have a different brain from other people?
I think I have a different brain, but I believe we all have the same power.
Do you think you have a different brain from other people? With just yes or no?
I just said yes. I mean, there's some psychopaths in the world.
Do they have a different brain chemistry and setup?
I believe so, yeah.
Do you think that some people are more prone to addiction than other people?
I'm very prone to addiction. Anything that I start, I want to go overboard with it. But I've learned how to heal myself.
Okay. Do you think other people have different chemistries and different brains that I'm happy for you, genuinely. I don't like hearing people addicted to anything, right?
Uh,
But if we were to put you under a CT scan compared to somebody who has been a raging alcoholic for 30 plus years, do you think we would see a difference in brain chemistry on why maybe some people have a harder time quitting addictions?
like I said, I believe that
You
everyone.
believe.
I
Okay.
believe this is my belief. Yes, I'm not
So an
saying I'm
opinion.
not saying this is a fact, but I believe, and I believe that anyone who
An
follows
opinion.
this can
Opinion.
quit. Anyone who follows this can quit. Like people say that. My grandpa, he was a super raging alcoholic. Like he drinks a fucking thing of Bacardi, an entire bottle every day. So I believe maybe that's how it passed down to me. I don't know if that's true, but I also believe that if someone truly wants something, they can have it. So I
What
think
about
that's
the virtue of compassion?
what was that?
Do you think what about the virtue of compassion? Do you think that's important?
Explain compassion.
I Compassion is
Caring for
having
others.
the ability. I'm going to look up a specific, like the definition, but sympathetic pity and concern for sufferings or the misfortunes of others. Do you think that's an important virtue to have? Compassion for other people?
I believe it's good to be compassionate, but I believe too much compassion is bad.
Well, right, because that would be a vice. Compassion is a virtue. Empathy. Can you tell me the difference between empathy and sympathy?
See, that's one thing. Empathy is caring about the problem of others, not relating to them, but saying like, okay, I can understand why they feel that way. And sympathy is like, I sympathize with you. I feel the same way you feel about it.
You got those two mixed up.
Other way around.
Yeah, empathy is,
Empathy.
you can have empathy for somebody who is addicted to Percocets.
Uh-huh.
I can have sympathy for them because I have not been addicted
Okay,
to
yeah,
Percocets.
you're right. You're right. I got 'em mixed up.
So they are mixed up. My question to you with compassion, because compassion is sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings of others. Do you believe other people are suffering?
I believe everyone's suffering to a certain degree.
Can you recognize that suffering?
Of course.
And what do you do about that?
About mine or about others?
About other people's suffering?
I mean, personally, that's one thing that I need to work on is caring about what others think. But I also believe that, like I said, too much compassion is giving people a way out. I believe that love is not lies. Like lying to someone is not
Too much
loving them.
kindness and you get walked all over. But
What was that?
do you think too much kindness and you're walked all over?
Oh
Do
yeah,
you
of
believe
course.
you're compassionate? Do you believe that somebody who is compassionate would look at an alcoholic and say, "I did it. Why can't you?"
I mean, I have compassion, but I also believe that giving people excuses is not helping them out in any way. Like if I were to say,
I don't.
listen, man,
I don't think you have to give excuses to necessarily be compassionate towards somebody.
but
You can still be honest.
if I
Why
have
can't I be
compassion
honest?
and I say this and I say, listen, man, I completely understand that you have all these problems in life and I understand that you have an addicted mind. So just keep on doing it, man. Is that really like loving the person? That's
You think that I can be compassionate and honest at the same time?
so how would you be compassionate and honest?
Recognize somebody's problems, give them helpful tips on possibly how to get out. However, still recognizing that they are suffering because they're another human being, and
Oh
I
no,
don't
I
want to
mean
hurt
that's how I think. I don't know if I explained it correctly, but that's how I think. However,
you. Compassionate.
what was that?
Do you believe you hold the virtue of compassion?
I have compassion because I truly care about seeing others better themselves. Like when someone is addicted to something and I completely tell them the truth, I think it might come off as like I'm not compassionate, but the intention
Okay.
it
So
stems
we
from
don't
being really
determine,
compassionate.
if we don't determine our own values, if we don't determine our own virtues, right? If you're coming off in that way and people are noticing that you're coming off in that way, do you think the people that you're around and talking to, do you think they believe that you have compassion? Since we don't make our own
A lot of
virtues,
people
right?
don't. A lot of people don't think that I have compassion.
So if the whole world is telling me you're not compassionate and you seem very cold, but on the inside you feel like you are compassionate,
Because I know where my intentions lie.
is that the outside and the inner, right? This is what spirituality is to me, right? Your inside is saying you're compassionate, but everybody around you is saying, wow, you just sounded like a dick. Do you really think you're compassionate?
I mean, here's the thing. A lot of people are low level from like family programming, school programming. So
Are you low level?
when you tell them something
Are you
from
low level?
no, I was
Okay.
at one point. I was out of shape. I was a loser. I was focused on women. I was addicted to porn. All these things. I
And
was.
now what are you focused on? Your business and making money?
What was that?
Now what are you focused on? Your business and making money?
I'm focused on my business, but mainly focused on bettering myself as a human being. It's not just
And
like the business is a byproduct.
how are you doing that? How are you making yourself a better human being?
I'm making myself a better human being by sticking to my word. And I think that everyone can become a better human being simply by sticking to their word. Most people, the reason why I believe that they stay low level is because they say they're going to do something and their actions don't match up with their words. So that's what keeps someone addicted, keeps them low level. Because if you say, I'm going to quit this today, and your actions match your words, then you'd have no problem quitting because you value your word over anything else. I value my word. If I give someone my word, I value it.
If my husband, who is an alcoholic, tells me that he's going to quit alcohol, and then a week later he starts drinking again, and he doesn't stick to his word, should I be upset with him?
I mean, you can have compassion for him. He should be upset at himself.
I should have compassion for him.
Yeah, you should have
Right?
compassion. Like, hey, listen, I understand what you're going through, but
So what are your vices? It sounds like you have a lot of virtues. You're telling me that everything that you're doing in life is great. Essentially, I haven't heard you say that any part of your life is needing to be worked on, and it sounds like you have everything figured out. Almost enlightenment, if I'm correct, just from everything that I've wrote down. You essentially have all 12 virtues. Do you believe you're working? And you're telling me that you're working on yourself, but every single virtue I bring up to you, you tell me how you display it, right? So what virtues don't you have? What are you working on then?
What am I working on? I believe that everything that needs to be worked on is being worked on. Like holding my
Such as,
word,
can you give me an example? Can you give me an
right?
example
Like
of something?
holding my word with myself. It's still a work in progress. Like even though I'm carrying even though
Trust.
I'm carrying it out, it's still worked on. I believe it's work day in and day out. I don't think
So you
that it's
don't.
just like you completely just transcend yourself. You still, like you said, you have that other side of you that is telling you, oh, don't wake up at that time. Oh, don't go to the gym. Oh, do this, do that. But instead, it's still a work in progress. You still have to override your mind and tell yourself, no, listen, this is what's best for us. This is what we're gonna do. So I think that's what's being worked on, even though I believe I still carry it through every single day. I think that still work.
How often do you meditate?
I believe what is meditation to you? What do you mean by that?
What is the first thing that we do when we're brought into this world?
The first thing that we do is cry,
Before that, you have to do something before crying.
breathe.
There you go. Breathing,
Uh-huh.
right? Noticing and recognizing the breath. Simply, that's meditation is actually clearing the mind, right? Because the mind does like to overthink. If I were to leave a car running for days on end, what's going to happen to it?
It's gonna overheat.
Same with the mind. So you need coolant. So meditation and breath work and presentism, right? That clears the mind.
But I believe
To
I'm
think,
always present, so I believe I'm always in a meditative state.
I think you think a lot.
I do.
So the point of meditation is to not think, is to simply, and this is very Buddhist text, right? What is the most common verb used in Spanish and English and Arabic and French and every language that really exists? What's the most common verb used?
Common verb. Verb is an action, right?
Yep.
Common verb. It's a good question. I don't
In
know.
Spanish, ser.
I am.
Ser does not mean I am.
Being. To be.
Soy,
Joy.
to be. Soy is I am. You said the second one. Ser, to be. Across all languages, right? In the English, what are the conjugations of ser?
I don't know.
Yo soy, tú eres, él, ella, es, nosotros somos, vosotros estáis, right? So that's the most common verb. The point is to be, right? You're not here necessarily, before anything, you're here to breathe. You are here to be a human. You are here for peace, right? Everybody wants peace, but you know what? Peace and calmness and tranquility to somebody's mind who is always thinking and always wandering will seem boring. Meditation to somebody who is always overthinking and always connecting things and always, right? It's going to be boring.
But I don't think I'm overthinking in a bad way. I'm not like constantly.
It doesn't matter if it's in a good way or a bad way, right? It doesn't matter if your car is run for 2 days in a good way or if it's run in a bad way. Regardless, it's going to overheat.
But here's why I say I believe I'm always in a meditative state, because like throughout the day, there's times when I just don't think about anything. But then I also believe it's important to think. But in times like throughout the day, sometimes my mind will just be blank. So that's why I believe like I'm in a meditative state. I'm almost like watching myself from third person. I don't think I have to sit down to do that, you know?
Do you feel like you have a sense of self-importance?
What do you mean?
Like you feel important?
I mean, I don't see myself as better than anyone, but I believe that I should believe that I'm important just for myself. But I don't believe I'm better than anyone in any way. I think we're all equal.
How do you feel about your ability to empathize with others?
Empathize? People say I lack empathy sometimes.
But I mean, earlier I asked you and you got the definitions mixed up between empathy and sympathy.
Mm.
Can you remind me what empathy is?
Empathy is caring about, or basically understanding what someone else is going through, and you think like I'm going through the same thing pretty much.
Okay.
Like I empathize with you because I'm in the same situation almost in a way,
Do you
right?
believe that you are humble or arrogant?
I believe I'm very humble, but
Do you believe other people believe you're humble or arrogant?
I can come off as arrogant sometimes.
Okay. And do you feel like the need for admiration?
No, because I admire myself.
You admire it. Okay. So what vices, based on how I explain them via the virtues, right? What virtues don't you have?
What are some of the virtues?
Let me name the 12 Aristotelian virtues.
Oh my goodness, my fucking back.
Do you believe you have temperance?
Temperance? What is that?
Self-control.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay. Friendliness.
100%.
Truthfulness.
100%.
Ambition.
Yes.
What is a lack of ambition called?
Laziness.
What is too much ambition called?
Greed.
Do you believe you're greedy or ambitious?
I believe I'm ambitious.
Okay. Can you give me a quantifiable number that you would be more than feel like if you made that amount of money, you would feel more than happy enough with that amount of money?
I mean, here's the thing. I can say that. I can answer that question, but also, I don't believe a man should be happy. But if we were to be honest, obviously the basic answer, $1 million, is like what everyone would consider like, okay, you're good. But
I don't think I need $1 million a month.
no,
How much?
you
How
said
much
a month?
would you live off where you'd be happy? Where you might need what I brought up with Maslow earlier, right? The bottom of the pyramid of Maslow's pyramid, it follows the same as the Hindi chakras. Bottom of the pyramid is psychological needs. Do you have food, water, and shelter?
Yes.
Do you think you're able to have healthy relationships? Do you think somebody who's hungry is able to have healthy relationships?
Someone that's hungry is able to have healthy relationships?
No, why? Because their body is asking for food. They need energy. They need basic things, right? Like if you're thirsty and you need water, are you really going to care about somebody trying to be your friend, or are you going to be wanting water? Probably water, because that definitely comes before anything else. Do you feel like you have magnificence?
Explain that.
Magnificence, the fourth virtue of magnificence, which involves acting in a grand and impressive manner. Greatness in behavior and thinking.
Greatness in behavior and thinking. Yeah, I do think of myself as being great.
Do you think you have courage?
Of course.
What is too much courage called?
Too much courage. Huh. What is that called?
Recklessness.
I guess. Yeah.
Are you reckless or are you courageous?
I'm courageous.
What about modesty? Do you think you have modesty?
I don't mean to keep telling you to explain these things, but can you explain it so I make sure we're on the same page?
I don't have a problem explaining things to people. If you don't know something, I'd rather somebody ask than answer and not know.
Okay.
Modesty is a place between shyness and without being. So, shyness, right, is having too much modesty.
Hmm.
Being shamelessness, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're shameless, if everything you say, you don't feel shame at all, right? That's a lack of modesty.
Mm.
Should people feel shame?
Yeah, they should. It's
Why?
good.
Why? When is it bad? When can shame be bad?
Shame when you're worried about the validation of others instead of validating yourself. I believe that's when it's bad.
I don't think that's shame. I think shame doesn't come from your. Shame typically comes from other people, right? I mean, think of somebody being growing up gay in their family, being told you're a bad person, you're going to hell. That's shame, right? Think of people looking at you being Latino and saying, "Oh, you should be ashamed of." Are you Puerto Rican? Are you Boricua?
Puerto Rican.
Are you right? People, Mexicans especially, and I understand. Like I've lived in all over the world. I've lived in 22 countries.
Mm.
Mexicans and Puerto Ricans tend to go at it. Or Argentinians more than anything else. Argentinians and Puerto Ricans. Argentinians with, I mean, I would say really everybody. But right, do you like being shamed by them? Of like, should you be shamed just for simply being Puerto Rican?
No.
Have you ever been shamed for being Puerto Rican?
No.
No, you've never been shamed for being Puerto Rican. You've never experienced any type of racism in the United States?
I mean, not blatantly.
Racism is a form of shame. So do you feel like you display modesty or shamelessness? Or shyness? But I don't think I need to ask that. I don't think you're a shy person. Do you think you're shameless or do you think you're modest?
I'd say I'm modest.
Magnanimity. This is one of my favorite ones, actually. Magnanimity, which involves having a big heart and giving credit where credit is due. A mighty mind and heart, a character that strives after improving others, not crushing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what my whole
see.
YouTube channel's about.
What about patience?
I would say, yeah, I'm very patient. Patient man.
Anger.
I gotta go soon, by the way, but
Anger.
no, because I have control over my emotions.
Do you think anger is ever good? I mean, you can have control of your emotions, but it doesn't mean that you're not angry, right?
Yeah, there's times when anger could be good.
So do you use that anger in a good way?
Yeah, of course.
What's too much anger called?
Too much anger is hate.
Wrath.
Right.
Yeah, wrath. So apparently you believe that you have all 12 of Aristotle's virtues. So you don't have to work on yourself anymore. Apparently, and this is what has been being studied for, years. Unless, of course, you have some type of either cluster A or cluster B mental disorder, such as narcissistic personality disorder, sociopathy, psychopathy, or Machiavellianism. Unless you have one of those.
No.
But if you don't believe you have one of those, I suppose everything's all good, right?
Yeah. I've had all these things. I've been emotional, but I feel like I've transcended that in a way because like I said, I've studied my own mind.
You feel like other people have transcended, or you feel like you're the only one that's transcended?
I think there's plenty of people who've transcended.
Can you name some that are around you?
Around me in my vicinity or like online? Because I see people online.
Your day-to-day life.
day-to-day life, I can't say that's the reason why I like the internet, because I don't think in day-to-day life you meet a lot of people like that.
Yeah. So you're just better than everybody around you currently?
In my life, yeah.
Hmm.
A lot of people I teach them.
Interesting conversation. Like really wonderful conversation. But have a great day, dude.
All right, man. Appreciate it.